Morning, students. Welcome to another very new session of Business Correspondence and Reporting. My name is Jyoti Singhal, and today we are doing the final and the third part of the chapter Communication. It's the most important aspect of business correspondence: how you speak in office, how you present yourself in a meeting, what all you do in a seminar, how you participate in a conference. So keeping all that in mind, the course has been devised in such a way that when you enter into the corporate, you have a fair enough idea about the reports, about articles, about jargons of workplace, how to communicate, the different networks of communication, the different barriers to communication. So it's going to be an interesting session. Like always, I expect full participation from your side. So please, all of you, be with me. Any good queries? Remember, last time I was getting some very unwanted queries, if I can use the word. I'm not going to answer them. Please, 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 it's a request. Keep referring to your study material, the ICAI material. It's a wonderful content. Everything and anything you require as a piece of knowledge for your exam is available in the content, plus the PPT which we are doing, plus the classes. So feel free, but the only thing we require is all of you should study hard. Take this subject as equally important. It's not just passing marks which you require. You really need to excel in communication. So I can see a lot of students have joined in. Good morning, Sakti, Pranay. Nice to have you all back in class. It looks like a real classroom, just that I can't hear you. Good morning, Shrikantaya, and good morning, Manmohan, Bharat, Tarun, Abhishek. A wonderful good morning to Janvi, Ananya. Everybody, welcome to the class again. I'm great. Thank you so much, Pranay. How are you doing? It's a nice weekend, and I hope you all are doing well with your studies, with your extracurricular. Be smart enough to be aware about things happening around you. Current affairs is really important. Any important news of the world should be on your tips. That's one good way of improving your communication. You should be able to understand, express, maybe change and influence, do everything which communication can do. Okay, so tell me anything from the last class. Good morning, Akshata, which you think we need to revise, or we are done with it so I can carry forward the class. So today, technically, it's going to be the last session of communication. Henceforth, we'll be taking more classes. You'll be having a whole lot of classes, as you all know. And with me, there are other subjects lined up. So as and when we keep meeting, we'll be doing different topics. Before that, if you have any doubt, if you have any concern, I hope you all are practicing. I hope you are doing the test your knowledge questions after the chapter. Please read the chapter. That's really important. Okay, so even before I ask, Tarun has started giving me the news. Very good. That's about the Qatar's longest gas supply deal with China. Wonderful, Tarun. That was really smart. I really like it, when students are very proactive themselves. You don't need to wait for instructions. You should be active enough to express and, reach out to people. That's the best way you can shed your inhibitions about communication. Communication is not just reading newspapers or attempting a question paper of BCR. It's much more than that. Okay, Sarfaraz says everything is clear. Aditya, we're going to do the characteristics today. What is effective communication? So we'll do that today. Last time, I think we left at just naming the networks. So there is a vertical network, there is a star network, there is a circuit network, there is a wheel and spoke network, and there is a chain network. That was the last which we did. Namrata, we have already done those communication styles of horizontal, vertical, and diagonal. And I remember I was getting a lot of, not very relevant questions, if I can say. I still remember Rishu asking the use me thing on the dustbin, and people asking, I think Rohit was asking about Havaldar and Subedars and police inspectors. Please don't do that. Let's get back to serious work. Okay. Start with the final bit of communication. So this is where I left, and this is where I'm going to take it from, the networks in communication. Okay, this is an important aspect of communication because you might get a question on all the networks. So name the 5 important networks in communication. That can be a really heavy question in terms of weightage, or you can get short questions like short notes, write on any 2 communications network. So you can choose any 2 and write on those which you are very, very sure with. Okay. So the name can be put in dark, like star network. Below that, you can write about it about 3 to 4 lines. If possible, you can draw the diagram. That's how a question has to be attempted. A question should be attempted in such a way that when we check the paper, it should be so nice to see the paper that I'm wanting to give you full marks and I don't want to cut marks. That's how nice and how clean and how spick and span your paper should be. Okay. So keeping that in mind, attempt any question paper, even if you're doing accounts, even if you're doing direct tax, even if you're doing any subject of accountancy, chartered accountancy, the paper has to be forcing the invigilator or the checker to be giving you marks. Okay, fine. Thanks, Asta. That is a very good news. The UK planning to limit admissions, because we've had a lot of discussion on foreign admissions from Indian students. So that's something which you also have to be keeping in mind. Gaurav, the PPT will be uploaded. I have uploaded all 3 PPTs. Maybe by today evening, you will have everything available. So don't worry. Namrata, when it is grapevine, yes, it is all very informal and it's just like spreading news from here to there without even checking the authenticity of it. That's what grapevine means. That's why it's called grapevine, because it keeps moving on and on like a grapevine. It keeps extending its branches and there is no limit to it. And it's not controlled. Okay. Okay, good, Bharat. That's a nice answer about the yes, you can write the answer in paragraph or or a bullet list, depending on what is the question. For example, if the question is list down the networks in communication, then if it says list, you have to use only bullets. If it says talk about the networks in communication, sorry, mention the networks in communication and write a short note on one of them. So the short note can be simply a paragraph, but the mentioning part can be the list. Okay, that's how it has to be. Okay, next, anything spreading of partial information. Okay, what is this, Aditya? Spreading of partial information? I didn't get this. If you can please explain. Yes, Rohit, grapevine is informal because it does not involve any control. So definitely grapevine is informal. Aditya, sorry, yes, rumors is also a very good example of grapevine. I agree. Okay. Pramod, is it really necessary? Because we are talking business place communication, right? So this is beyond the scope and it's a completely irrelevant question. So it would be great if you find out such answers on your own rather than depending on classes from ICAI to answer such questions. Okay, please just limit yourself to understanding of the subject which is required in your CA rather than going off board and asking such irrelevant questions which make no sense in class right now. Okay, you can discuss this outside with your friends. That would be a better idea. Okay. Yes, it has to be normal English, and depending on your answers, you can use formal English. So the answers also matter because you have a study material and there is a set pattern to answering. So ऐसा नहीं आप कुछ भी लिखोगे, you need to write in a certain style which actually makes sense and it gives you the right answer if you want full marks. Yes, grapevine, very good, Ritu. That's a perfect answer. No, Rohit, abhi to you told me informal. How can office discussion be grapevine then? Office discussion means wherever it has no control, it's just spreading unwantedly and it's not having any authentic check. Only then it is called grapevine. Meghna, I'll take you to that towards the end, please. Yes, Janvi, inclusions of diagrams are quite, strengthening your answer. They are quite appreciated and encouraged. So whenever you do a question on any one of these networks, like अगर आपने आंसर लिखा है circuit network का, तो आप circuit network के बारे में you can write 2 to 3 lines depending on what is the weightage. अगर 2 marks का question है, तो 3 lines लिखिए, 4 lines लिखिए, and नीचे you can draw a diagram. And the diagrams are very basic. It's not like a biology diagram. They're very, very basic. You can refer to the study material. Usme sab kuch hai. That's why I keep repeating. Your curiosity will all cool down and calm down. If you have seen the study material, if you have read the chapters, you will understand that everything has been so explicitly given with question and answers practice. Okay. Yes, Tamanna. So, Anshika, grapevine is basically gossips, rumors, fake news, uncontrolled news, unchecked news, not authentic news. Okay, fine. Okay, so, okay, fine. Sadhna, see, this is a very general question, right? In this class, it will be very difficult for me to explain good command on a business vocabulary. You need to be reading newspapers and business magazines. You can read Business Today, you can read Business India, you can read Economic Times. These are magazines which are going to help you improve your business jargon if you really want to improve that. Fine. Okay, so now I'm going to take you to individually take you to these networks because each question, there might be one separate question on each of the networks. So this is the first one. If you get a question on what is the vertical network in communication, you can say a formal network which is between a higher official and his or her subordinate oblique junior. This requires immediate feedback because when you are speaking to the supervisor or your senior, answers and responsible answers are expected immediately. So you can't delay. That's how this has to be taken care of. Okay, you get it? So please remember, vertical network happens between a senior, as in senior in terms of designation, not in terms of age. And very importantly, it's an office, it's a workplace scenario. So don't ask any question which is related to personal life or animal life or organism life. We are going to restrict ourselves to workplace. Office mein kaisa rehta hai? That's my concern. Out of that, if you have any curiosity or you have any interest, you can please find out the answers yourself. Fine. Venkat Lakshmi, no, there is no other name, Ayush. Venkat Lakshmi, you can make notes. See, the PPTs are in front of you. I am talking like a lecture. You have a pen and paper, your wish. Okay. So it's not like hard and fast that if I say make notes only, then you have to make notes. If you feel that's a comfortable style of studying, please go ahead. Okay. Yash, I did not get your question. Out of module. What module? Okay, fine. So this much is okay. Moving on. So now without any failure, after 5 minutes, once I show you all the networks, I'm going to ask you what is vertical network. You have to answer on your own. Okay. If you don't answer, then that clearly means you are not listening in the class and we will not have any more classes there. I want a class where students are serious and you are really answering and taking interest. Otherwise, there is no point of having so many classes, spending time and energy. So I request all of you, be attentive in class, listen to each aspect as carefully as possible so that if I test your knowledge after 5 minutes, I get a good answer. Okay. So this is about vertical network, how you can make this diagram. It's not a diagram also. It's just like a 2-box flow chart like you do in computers. So it's just supervisor and subordinate. Instead of supervisor, even if you write senior official, junior official, that will also do. But don't use specific terms like CEOs and CFOs and managers and senior managers and associate professors. Please don't use any specific terms, okay? Because the terms are very different for each office, each organization. So a general term is always appreciated. Okay, got it? Sure? Yes, Ayushman, obviously, if there is no feedback, then also it is vertical. Vertical may feedback is possible faster. That's the reason why we have mentioned it. है या नहीं है, that's secondary. Feedback nahi bhi hai, to bhi if it is coming from a senior official to a junior official, we consider it vertical network. Okay, fine, Anshika, got it? Prince, yes, it is formal. जब ऑफिस में सीनियर से जूनियर में जा रहा है तो isn't it formal? अभी भी you guys are stuck at the same doubt. ऑफिस का बात हो रहा है. Senior official is talking to a junior official. Has to be formal, no? He's not going to discuss movies and plays with the subordinate. If that is the case, then that is outside office. Yes, Janvi, it is only higher to junior. Sadhana, we have already discussed. You can please refer to the old PPTs. This means you guys are not paying attention. You are still questioning about horizontal networks, which we have already done. Please remember, we have done horizontal last class. Refer to the PPT, refer to my lecture. You will get your answer. Okay, moving on to the star network. Now, star network, as the name suggests, includes a picture of a star, which means there is cross communication happening. Doesn't mean it's leading to chaos, just that communication is happening between various resources. If I consider A, B, C, D, E to be various people, each of these alphabets represents a person in office, then if you can see, A is talking to B, to C, to D, to E. Similarly, B is talking to the rest four. Each of them is talking to each other, and hence this is called star network. This is best suitable for teams. When you have a lot of team members and everybody has to interact with each other, then we always suggest please use a star network. Okay? Got it? Everybody? Yes, Mehak. Namrata, if that is subordinate to supervisor, then वो vertical नहीं होगा ना. Vertical means ऊपर से नीचे आना, नीचे से ऊपर नहीं जाना. Yes, Varnika, these PPTs will be uploaded. Yash, you tell me, what is it? Did I say it has to involve feedback, or did I say it's information coming from seniors to juniors? आप लोग अगर अपने आप से नहीं अटेम्प्ट करोगे, आपको पेपर में कोई भी क्वेश्चन अच्छे से नहीं आएगा. Please concentrate on what I am saying. It's an important paper. If you have to write a short note on vertical communication and you keep asking me feedback कैसे होगा, junior से senior में कैसे होगा, then very importantly, you are not using your brains. Please बात को समझो. Vertical का English में meaning होता है ऊपर से नीचे. It's never नीचे से ऊपर. Hence, any information flow which is coming from a senior to a junior and it involves immediate feedback. Zaruri nahi hai the junior is responding right now. So he will respond obviously because he's been asked to do something by his senior. But that is not the criterion that feedback hona hi chahiye. Got it? No, Venkat Lakshmi, this is all about formal communication. So we will not include grapevine here. It might appear like grapevine because everybody is talking to each other. But honestly, these are all networks of communication used for Formal communication at workplace, formal, not informal. Grapevine is an example for informal communication. Okay? Why, Prince? You should know how to decipher the diagram. Diagram को समझने आना चाहिए ना. You all have done Venn diagrams and pie charts in school. So यहाँ पे arrows नहीं है. ये जो line है A to C, this line and then this line, isn't this A communicating with B and C? Come on now. I don't think so. I have to explain the diagram. You really have to be smart enough for that. इतना तो आपको दिखना चाहिए ना. प्रिंस ए इज कम्युनिकेटिंग विद बी और सी नहीं हो रहा है तो सिर्फ स्टार को मत देखो. स्टार इज जस्ट द मिडिल लाइंस अरेंजमेंट. आउटसाइड सर्कल भी तो देखना है ना. सो ऑल दीज लाइंस विच आर जॉइनिंग द अल्फाबेट्स is nothing but both ways arrows. A with C, C with A. Now don't start asking me कि B A के साथ नहीं कर रहा है because there are no arrows. It's just a circle because information is flowing every direction. It's multi-directional here. Harsh, how did this come from? ये तो बहुत ही out of question है, out of network question actually. Yes, Sadhna. हाँ, Ritu, that's very correct. There is no level. We don't talk about levels. It's anybody, but it's just teamwork. So team में mostly we'll have people at all designations. So we mostly consider this as the best network for team. You will get a question, for example, which is the best network for a team? Please write a short note. So your answer should be star network. All these networks, Aditya, which we are doing today, are related to formal communication only. Circular क्यों होगा? Straight line बना दो तो star हो गया ना. You have to understand the diagram. Don't take it pictographically. Formal है Ayushman. This is formal. Okay. Fine. So this is done. Those of you, I'm sorry to be saying this, those of you who are asking questions which are very relevant, I'm going to block you from the chat right now. You will not be asking anything. I might even remove you from class. Okay. That's a warning. Please don't ask questions which do not relate to the subject. I'm here to give you good information. I'm here to learn from you also, but I really need something healthy both ways. Okay, thank you so much, guys. Moving on to this next thing, which is after star network, is the circuit network. The circuit network, as the name suggests, is very much like a switchboard. जहाँ पे आप स्विच ऑन करते हो, सर्किट पूरा कंप्लीट हो जाता है, करंट फ्लो होता है स्विच से, करंट फ्लो होके डिवाइस पे जाता है, डिवाइस अगर बल्ब है या फैन है या व्हाटएवर इलेक्ट्रिक डिवाइस, that starts working, that gets on. That's how a circuit happens. So we are doing it the same way. A to the message passing to B to the feedback happening to A makes it a complete circle. So mostly this involves two people. It can involve more, but mostly the pictorial representation is always with two. This is the easiest possible way to show a circuit network. Okay, the names have been given just to make sure that you understand the concept. There is no true meaning कि this is like a circuit जहाँ पे genuinely current flow हो रहा है. It's not like that. It's just a nomenclature, a name given. So नाम इसीलिए ही दिया जाता है कि आपको एक इमेज का आइडिया मिल जाए. ठीक है. This involves direct sending and receiving information, which means there is no middleman. There are no juniors involved. If A has to pass a message to B, तो वो straight away message B को देगा and B वापस A को feedback देगा. There is nothing involved in it. And this is also very fast. So there can be a question, why do you think circuit network works at a very fast pace? You can answer because circuit network is something which involves only two people and it involves direct sending and receiving information. Since there are no middle agents or middle resources between the sender and the receiver, circuit network works very fast. If this is your answer, you will get full marks. If anything is missing, you will get less marks. Also, there can be a question, why is a circuit network called so? Circuit network का नाम ऐसा क्यों रखा गया है? Again, the answer should be circuit network involves two people. It involves direct sending and receiving information, and the way information is passed, it makes the circuit complete, just like an electric circuit, hence the name circuit network. Okay. Examples of this type of network: two people, you and me, are talking, I am giving you information, you are giving me a feedback, that is circuit network. इसको आप ऑफिस प्लेस में ले जाओ, वर्क प्लेस में ले जाओ. ठीक है सुभादीप? Yes, Sarfaraz, very good. Vertical तो top to bottom होता है ना, इसमें it can be same colleagues of the same designation. Nitin? No, hierarchy doesn't matter this much here because it's about two people. So we are not talking about hierarchy. If the hierarchy is involved, then it straight away goes to the vertical network. Yes, Nitin, exactly. Nihal, this is all about workplace. This is not about schools and colleges. Yes, Anshika, without any intermediary. Very good. I just now told you, no, Akshata, not maximum. Look at my first line in the PPT. Usually, maximum और भी हो सकते हैं. Usually, the first example we give is between two people because you require only two people for good communication. Two से ज़्यादा होंगे, it's okay. Shivam, that is a question answer session. Interviews are question and answers, trying to know about you. That is not passing of information at office. So interviews run on a circuit network style, but they are not exactly an example of circuit network. Yes, Ujjwal. Specifically mean feedback. Feedback is not necessarily कि आप उसको criticize या appreciate करो. Feedback basically means whatever action has to be taken is being done at that point of time. That is feedback. Ha, Sakti, you can say that. Yes, Sarvesh, that's a good answer. Okay, this is clear. So we've done three networks. We've done star network, we've done vertical network, we've done circuit network. I hope everything is clear. You should be able to answer any question on these three and the next two which we are doing. The questions might be tricky. The questions might be worded in such a way कि आपको सोचना पड़े, but that's okay because we have done every bit in class. The details have been discussed. अभिषेक ऑफिस में तो इंफॉर्मेशन किसी भी टाइप की होगी ना. व्हाट क्वेश्चन इज दिस? हाउ डू यू नो व्हाट इंफॉर्मेशन इज बीइंग डिस्कस्ड? Depends on what project you are in, which office you are in, what is the work style, what is the agenda, what is the theme of the discussion. So information depends on that. Adishri, we just now discussed this. Aditya, I told you the first line said usually. You know what's the meaning of usually? Is it compulsory? Does usually equate with compulsory? Okay. You all have to start reading some good vocabulary books to improve your vocabulary, because I can see a lot of lack of knowledge when it comes to basic English words. If this remains, then answering questions will become difficult. If you want to score good in your exam and you want to understand language when you are in office, then you have to be understanding basic English words. Okay, the next one. I have seen sadhana, I already told you. You were asking, let me see. I already told you about your doubt. Can a question come like network, immediate communication done vertical or circuit? It will not be a one-word answer. This question can come, but then you will have to explain why. Which book's name? Pranay, what book's name do you want? Your ICAI study material is a good enough book to refer to. Uh, Rohit, I think I have made this clear several times. All the networks that we are discussing relate to office. We are not talking about anything outside office. ठीक है? Vocabulary के लिए you can read Norman Louis Word Power Made Easy. Okay, Pranay? Fine. Let's move on to the chain network. Chain network में क्या होता है? It's like a chain of command, which means from senior to junior. So it starts at the top and it moves to different levels of employees, just like a chain. So there is one CEO, he's giving instructions to the next level lower than him. He's giving instructions to the next person lower than him, and it moves on to the junior. From the senior most to the junior most, it's chain network. It can be, it's like a subset of vertical, because vertical में भी ऐसे ही होता है. उसमें it's just that we are not talking about coming to the junior most. It's not like involving lot of people. It can be between only two people, the senior and the subordinate next to him. But chain mein it involves different levels of employees, so there has to be multiple people. Okay, the number of people involved in the chain network is more than that in vertical. But otherwise, obviously, since it's coming from the senior to junior, it's the same thing as vertical. Okay, so there is no difference. But if you get a question on how is the chain network different from the vertical network, you can say the vertical network might involve only two employees. Yes, the information travels from senior to junior, but in case of a chain network, it involves multiple levels of employees and it has more appearance like a chain. That's the difference, and hence the name chain. Okay, got it? Sure, everybody? Fine. Now, a short note on this. A short note, what happens? It starts at the top, it moves to different levels that we have done. Next thing, it consumes a lot of time. Why do you think we will say that a chain network consumes a lot of time? Because it involves a lot of people. And since there is involvement of a lot of people, it's time consuming. That's the only reason. Okay. Chances of less clarity. Why do you think chain network has chances of less clarity? Can anybody guess? Can you please tell me? Why do you think chain network has chances of less clarity? What is your understanding? What do you think could be the possible reason? Not necessarily scalar chain. A superior can have only one subordinate following one, following one, following one. So it's just like the whole hierarchy you are talking about. So in chain network, it's more about hierarchy. Yes, Kashish, very good answer. Shakil, very good. Adishri, very good. Sadhna, very good answer. Nitin, correct. Anshika is correct. Lalit is correct. Adishri is correct. Janvi, it's not about noise. Harsh, correct. Namrata, very good answer. Yes, Sarvesh, you are also correct. Subhadeep, correct. Yes, Aditya, your answer is also correct. Yes, Sakti. Pooja, correct. Varnika, correct. Ashutosh, Tamanna, Pramod, Yash, Nitin, Namrata, and Akshata. Very good. So your answers are correct. Bhumi, you're also correct. Astha, you have just mentioned about a superior can only give command to their subordinates. That's what chain network is. But my question was, why do you think it lacks clarity? So by the end of the chain, why do you think there is less clarity? The reason is because it involves a lot of people, and by the time the information comes from the topmost to the juniormost, a lot of manipulations, a lot of difference of opinion, a lot of lack of clarity happens. So whatever is being sent to the end might not be the perfect way of passing on information. Okay, that's why it lacks clarity. Got it, everybody? Yes, there is distortion. Very good, Vidnesh. This is, I think somebody also gave the example of Chinese whispers. Akshata, yes, it's just like the game of Chinese whispers where you always have to remember that when your message is being passed to many people, it might not have the same meaning as it had initially. That's what you have to keep in mind. It might just move on in a different way, it might get distorted, and hence, whatever you are getting towards the end might not be the perfect example of what the information was when it started. Okay, got it, everybody? Clear? Any doubt? Anything you want to ask me till here? कुछ भी पूछना है आपको इस नेटवर्क के बारे में, or if you have any other doubts, please feel free to ask, because once I move on to the different aspects of uh, barriers and other things, I will not be able to take up all these questions. About network, if you have any question, please, please, please feel free. And this is the last one, of course. Okay, so let's do the last one now. Now in VLAN spoke network, what happens? VLAN spoke network. Okay, all of you. Thanks, Akshata. Yes, Ujjwal. Lalit, you are stuck with grapevine. Every question is not related to grapevine. Please make it clear that is informal. This is formal. You guys just get stuck with one topic and you try and keep relating the same thing with this. Grapevine हो गया, वो informal में था, अभी नहीं है. Domination nahi, that's not the way it happens. Matlab, we don't talk about domination, but still, okay. Let's move to the next one now. This is wheel and spoke. Okay, now wheel and spoke में क्या होता है basically? A single controlling authority. So you have one person giving instructions to all the employees. All the employees get direct instructions from a boss. Okay, one boss is there who's giving you all the instructions. So the communication is quite direct, because whoever runs the organization, let's say he's the owner of the business, he's going to give all the instructions. Next thing, it's only good for small organizations, and you will tell me why is it not good for big organizations. For example, a setup like Tata Limited or maybe Reliance, why does the wheel and spoke network not work best there? Here, all employees are getting direct command from the head. So there is one head who is in the center. If you can see my diagram, see, this is the head. He's the one who's giving direct instructions to आप ऐसा करो, आप ऐसा करो, आप ऐसा करो. Whether it is marketing, whether it is finance, whether it is sales, whether it is audit, whether it is tax, whether it is HR, he's the one who's delivering all instructions, because he's the single owner of the organization and he's going to make decisions. Okay, so this is an example of a wheel and spoke network. Now the problem is, Why do you think it runs best, or this is suitable most for smaller organizations? Why not for larger ones? Yes, Anshika, very good. Because bigger organizations have a lot of employees, and also for each department, there'll be like more than 10 employees in one department. So it's very difficult for one person to give instructions. Hence, you have these HR heads, finance heads, audit heads, tax heads, consulting heads. So those heads are independently the senior most people in those verticals, and they take care of their department. And then you have the CEOs who are going to take care of everything, but they will discuss things with the heads only. They will not come down to the junior most employee. Chain network में कुछ नहीं होता है रितु. Chain network is just all the people involved in the hierarchy, they are getting information from their seniors. So the topmost will give it to the next level, junior, uske junior, uske junior, uske junior, and it follows down like a chain. हाँ, it is more like decentralization. इसमें centralization है because only one person is doing it. Bigger organizations में it's very much decentralized. Yes, Preeti, correct answer. Yes, Manmohan, very correct. You've all understood. I appreciate that. Yes. So Adishri, Pramod, Sarvesh, Subhadeep, Manmohan, Nikhilesh, Varnika, Namrata, everybody have given correct answers. Thank you so much. Well done, all of you. So this is the reason why large organizations do not involve the wheel and spoke. They rather have like a chain network where each department is headed by some people. They will move on and give the instructions. So every department in the office is going to have one head, and all the jobs which are being done in that department will be discussed, decided, and taken care of by that head. And all those heads will then report to another person who might report to another person. So it's more like a pyramid structure. Okay, is this much clear? Thank you, Zakia. Any other question which you want me to answer? Anything about the networks? Anything which you feel is a problem? Please go ahead and ask. Otherwise, we will move on. So we have done 5 networks. The next is effective communication. I want to start this after the break. So we'll have effective communication and we'll have barriers to communication. Okay. Wheel and spoke network is like a wheel, a single controlling authority. If you need, you can also give examples. Okay. Chain network, it works like a chain where from senior to junior, it follows a chain of command and the information is being passed. Circuit network, it completes the circuits. There is a message and then it goes on to the receiver. The receiver further sends whatever he feels like a feedback and the circuit completes. Star network, it allows group communication. It's best for team because every member is interacting with each other. There is no hierarchical concept here. And vertical is a formal network which involves only information passing from a senior to the junior. That's it. We don't see the reverse happening. You can see the arrow. There is no reverse happening. Okay, got it? Clear here? So vertical is different. Circuit network. Okay, Purva. Circuit में it involves 2 people. Direct sending होता है information का. Feedback भी involved होता है. And एक circuit complete हो जाता है. This is circuit network. Yes, Ankit, chat is visible. I'm getting all the questions. Chain network से ज्यादा small industry में wheel and spoke is effective. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we'll take a small 5-minute break. I think we are done with the networks part of it. You still have any doubts, you can think of them, or else we will move on to the last part of the communication, which is effectiveness of communication and barriers in communication. Those are very important topics which will involve लार्जर वेटेज इन क्वेश्चंस, उसमें पॉइंट्स भी ज्यादा है, एक्सप्लेनेशन भी ज्यादा है। ठीक है, ठीक है। वर्टिकल नेटवर्क में रिवर्स होता है, डोंट वरी, स्टडी मटेरियल में दिया है। आई एम सेइंग यूजुअली इट्स नॉट लाइक उसी टाइम इमीडिएट फीडबैक इज पॉसिबल, दैट्स व्हाई आई एम नॉट राइटिंग अनदर एरो, बिकॉज इफ आई पुट द अदर एरो द इम्प्रेशन पीपल गेट इज कि उसी टाइम इंफॉर्मेशन आ रही है, सबॉर्डिनेट उसी टाइम मार्क कर रहा है, दैट इज नॉट टू बी considered. Maybe after 10 minutes, maybe after a week, it's okay. Got it? So we'll take a 5-minute break here. Alam, what is? हाँ, तो I have drawn ना. That's why I am not drawing, because the moment you draw an opposite arrow, people feel that उसी time हो रहा है. Immediate feedback possible होता है, but जरूरी नहीं है उसी time. But a vertical network involves any communication between both sides. That I agree. Please don't get confused by the immediacy of it. So just to avoid that confusion, I was not drawing the other side arrow. But since you feel that's going to help you, it's okay. So basically vertical network जो हमने last class में भी पढ़ा था, formal networks में vertical पढ़ा था, horizontal पढ़ा था. Any network will obviously involve answers coming from the other side also. ये हमेशा याद रखना. One-sided communication कभी नहीं होगी. ठीक है? Marks का weightage नहीं है chapter wise. All chapters have equal weightage. You have to study all of them, Chaitra. So large organizations में नहीं चलता है wheel and spoke. ठीक है? Chalo. So we'll take a short break for 5 minutes and then we'll be back with whatever is left and we'll hopefully finish in time. Thank you so much, guys. Okay, good afternoon, students. Welcome back after the break. So I hope everything is clear. You've refreshed enough. If there's any doubt, I will definitely do that. Yes, Pooja, your messages are coming. Don't worry. Yes, Aditya. Communication is a two-way process. When it comes to the circuit network, it becomes a two-way process. Two-way process का मतलब ये नहीं होता है that you always have to involve only two things. That's the easiest and the minimum possible required. Hence, we have given example of two things. It can be three people also. Hierarchy means the levels. The levels of people in an organization is known as hierarchy. Astha, yes. Have you put any question? I can see your message. Yes. So you are asking business meet is an example of which network? Circuit network. Yes. What should I repeat, Mehak? I did not get. What do you want me to repeat? Meghna, this is only about office where you have managers and it's more about corporates. So we are not taking it to the medical industry. हाँ, I've told you that no reverse arrow vertical network वो तो sort हो गया था ना शेख आलम. कंपल्सरी नहीं होता है उज्जवल, पॉसिबल होता है. किसी भी चीज में कुछ भी कंपल्सरी नहीं होता है. Even if I'm just giving my opinion, even if I'm just saying yes, I'm doing it and I'm doing the work, that's not necessarily feedback. तो feedback का आपको literal meaning नहीं लेना होता है. ठीक है? Okay, उज्जवल. Subhadeep, see, read my slide. First line क्या लिखा है? Now you answer your question and tell me क्या होता है? Two people or more than that? Case study questions are not included. मतलब वो तो study material में है. You have to go through them. Yes, Namrata, very correct. So if there is a teamwork, then you have to use star network. That's the best. You don't have to use it, but the way a team operates, it becomes a star network. ठीक है? Study material में whatever questions are there, practice questions and case study questions you have to do. Besides that, on the BOS portal, we have a lot of MTPs, which is mock test papers, RTPs, which are revision test papers, वो भी आपको करने हैं. Okay? शुभादीप, two people लिखा है या usually two people लिखा है? Usually means we consider that as the best example. You don't have to stick to two people. If it is more than two, then also it is more about direct information being sent. Number of people is not that important. Circuit complete hona chahiye. Even if it is two or three, it should be direct. The moment I say 10 people, तो 10 people हैं तो हम सर्किट क्यों यूज करेंगे, फिर हम स्टार यूज करेंगे. Isn't it? So that is for you to apply. कितने लोग हैं और किस टाइप का नेटवर्क यूज करना है. Like Namrata has given a very good example. टीम वर्क है तो स्टार हो जाएगा. सीनियर टू जूनियर है, मीटिंग है तो स्टार हो जाएगा. सर्किट है, अगर 5 लोग बैठे हैं तो सर्किट हो जाएगा. चेन इज हायरार्की. सो अगर सारे लेवल्स ऑफ ऑर्गेनाइजेशन डिस्कस कर रहे हैं तो चेन हो जाएगा. एंड अगर स्मॉल ऑर्गेनाइजेशन है, एक ही हेड है, ही इज ओनली रनिंग ऑल द एस्पेक्ट्स एंड डिपार्टमेंट्स, तो व्हील एंड स्पोक हो जाएगा. Yes, Sarvesh, very good. If it is less, if it is more than two, then effectiveness kam ho jati hai. Then you have to involve other aspects of the other networks. Shruti, MTPs are like mock test papers. So when you finish your syllabus, when you think you have done with all the chapters, communication, articles, meetings, report writing, pressy writing, formal mails, सब कुछ हो चुका है. Introduction to business communication भी एक chapter है. only then you should attempt a paper like a paper. Don't just go through the mocks. उसको attempt ऐसे करो कि you're doing it like a main paper. तभी उसका कुछ gain होगा. Otherwise there is no reason of attempting mocks. So revision test papers भी तभी करने चाहिए and mock test papers भी तभी करने चाहिए. Okay? Okay. नम्रता एक एक टू पीपल से ज्यादा होगा तो एक बॉक्स और ऐड कर दो. व्हाट इज दिस क्वेश्चन? सर्किट में अगर ए और बी और सी है तो एक सी और ऐड कर दो. ए टू बी टू सी. सिंपल नो. You have to use your, I don't know what to say, but you really have to be smart enough to apply some general information. You can't just rely on books. You all are, aspiring to be smart CAs. उसके लिए अगर आप थोड़ा अपने आप अप्लाई करो नॉलेज एंड इम्प्लीमेंट व्हाट इज इन क्लास, व्हाट इज बीइंग डन इन क्लास, तो थोड़ा बेटर रहेगा. ओके, नाउ लेट मी सी. और कुछ है? एनी डाउट्स नाउ? कुछ और पूछना है नेटवर्क्स के बारे में? ऑल क्लियर? श्योर? नो डाउट? ठीक है, कैन वी मूव ऑन देन? Okay, so we finished the network part of it, and now we move on to effective communication. Now, before I show you the slide, this is something called 7 C's of communication, which is like the most effective. And you always have to ensure why you have to be effective when you communicate. Okay, so we'll do this. Now, ensuring communication is effective, kya kar sakte ho aap? What can you do? First of all, you have to be a patient listener. Okay, let me do something. I'm going to ask you, how can you ensure your communication is effective? You all tell me. Yes, Aditya, A to B, B to A, कुछ भी हो सकता है. It's a circuit. Circuit complete तभी होगा ना. A B से बात कर रहा है, फिर B वापस A को जवाब दे रहा है. So obviously B is talking to A. ठीक है? Now all of you tell me. Okay, clear speech. Thank you, Nitin. Anshika says clarity in thought. Okay, that's a good answer. So if you have to ensure that your communication is effective, these two things have to be taken care of. Okay, anything else? Any other answer, please? I'm waiting. There are many things you have to keep in mind to ensure that communication is effective. ध्यान से सोचो. Yes, a good presentation. Okay, you have to take care of clarity. Very good. Clarity is very, very important. Because अगर आपके मैसेज में ambiguity है, अगर आपके मैसेज में clarity of thought नहीं है, आपको खुद ही नहीं पता what you want to convey, then the person who is receiving the message cannot understand anything. उसको कुछ समझ ही नहीं आएगा. Then the whole purpose of communication is dissolved. अगर आपको genuinely चाहिए कि clarity, message convey हो, then you have to be very, very sure about the kind of words you use, the kind of language you use, the kind of diagrams you use, which network you're using, what is the scope of communication, सब कुछ involve करके you have to give a instruction. Focus attention, very good. Listening for understanding, wonderful. Janvi, listening skills तो बहुत जरूरी हैं. Without listening skills, so it doesn't work at all. Completeness of information, yes, Astha, correct. Feedback is important, Namrata. That's the best thing. Without feedback, कोई भी communication complete नहीं माना जाता है. Yes, Ritu. C, clear, concise, and coherent. Wonderful answer. Yes, Aditya. It's very important that you are answering the question what has been asked instead of giving me extra information, instead of talking about irrelevant answers. जो पूछा है आप उसी को answer कर रहे हो, then it is effective communication. Politeness, think before you talk. ठीक है, focus and attention. Okay, Varnika, good answer. Isha, seeing you for the first time. आपने अभी तक कोई answers दिए नहीं. Okay, so all of you have given me very good answers. See, even if I'm not sharing my screen, what I've realized is आप लोग answers बहुत अच्छे दे रहे हो and correct दे रहे हो. So that's very good. Thank you so much, all of you. All correct answers from everybody who has bothered to give me a message. Wonderful. And I'm going to show you my list. Again, it's just an accumulation and a consolidation of all what you have written. I might have written them in a very concise way, but answers वही है. Whatever you have given, I'm giving you the same answers. ठीक है? Okay, use the right mode of communication. अब right mode of communication क्या होता है? Do I have to speak or do I have to write? मुझे ये चीज मेल में भेजनी चाहिए या टेक्स्ट में भेजनी चाहिए या if I have to call the employees to a business room and then talk, that is right mode of communication. That is for you to decide. Okay? हाँ, facial expressions भी हो गया because non-verbal तो include हो ही जाएगा ना, right? ठीक है. So Aishwarya, what you are saying is basically non-verbal, जहाँ पे body language and tone etc. आ जाता है. हाँ, टॉपिक तो श्रुति will have validity, तभी we are discussing it, isn't it? फिर तो obviously अगर valid नहीं है तो there is no point of discussing those topics. हाँ, so Akshata has given me a nice answer, which is like a complete answer when it comes to defining what is effective communication. When a speaker talks something and it is properly understood by the listener, then it can be called effective communication, right? So the effectiveness depends on how much the listener has understood out of it. तब जाके वो effective होता है. Okay, good. Coherence, I'll tell you. Face to face is best, Riya. कई बार some things get sorted on phone also, you don't have to see the face, so ऐसा नहीं है, but yeah, I mean, now that you're saying it, so it's okay. Attention is very important, so I'll come to that. So next point here, be confident of your ideas and proposals. Suppose I'm going to propose an idea for a certain business, for a certain business venture. Maybe it's a merger, maybe it's a startup. It's just like Shark Tank, where you go and pitch your business ideas. So what happens is, if I'm pitching my idea, I should be confident that I'm going to make money out of it, and it's going to be, in the long run, it's going to be a successful business. Only then people will accept your ideas. So अगर आपके proposal में कुछ weightage नहीं है, you don't sound solid, you don't sound confident, you don't sound that you have done your research and then only you have come, then it is not good communication, because सामने वाला जो पूछ रहा है, maybe he's there to fund your business, maybe he's a venture capitalist, whatever he is, maybe he's just trying to invest in your business for some reasons, he's an investor. But if you don't sound convinced with your idea, the idea is completely diluted, तो उसका कुछ फायदा नहीं. ठीक है? Okay, third is think before you speak. Many people have mentioned that you have to be very sure about what are you talking. So if you're talking to somebody, let's say you're talking to an investor, you're talking to a bank manager, you're talking to somebody who's going to grant you loan, you're talking to somebody who's going to invest in your project, you're talking to somebody who's going to work with you in collaboration. So you have to be very, very sure about what to speak and when to speak. So the way you speak to your seniors will be different from the way you speak to your subordinates, will be different from the way you speak to your juniors. Okay? So each of the thought process, each of the speaking process is going to be different. So please think before you speak. And once you've spoken something, like we always say, words are like arrows. Once they are out, you cannot put them back. So once, if they've hit somebody, if they've, kind of hurt somebody, you can just say a sorry to rectify, but that's also not a very good means. ठीक है? Pavan, yahin pe, whatever you have written, from where can I comment? Here only you write your comment. Yes, very good, Ritu. That's a wonderful rephrasal of my answer. You should have control over your communication, because ज़्यादा emotional हो जाओगे ना, तो your communication goes very, very offbeat. It doesn't sound formal. Correct, Ritu? Yes, Vidnesh. Brevity is the essence of business communication. Very good. You can't keep, speaking and speaking for 10 minutes. सामने वाला बोर ही हो जाएगा. उतना ही बोलो जितना you think is going to be important. Okay. Second point, Aditya, is you have to be confident. What do you mean when I say you have to be confident? Can you explain, Aditya? Uh, right. Nodding your heads is not just important. Eye contact, ठीक है. I'm coming to that. Conciseness कहाँ देख लिया अभी प्रतिभा? अभी तो वो वाली slide ही नहीं आई है. Okay, now the fourth one is patient listener. Always remember, listening skills are part and parcel of good communication. अगर listening खराब हो रही है, आप ध्यान से सुन नहीं रहे हो बातों को, then it's not considered good. So for good listening, so for good communication, there has to be a patient listener also. Otherwise क्या होता है कि one-sided sorry, one-sided information is being transferred. Just a second. हाँ प्रतिभा. Obviously, Aditya, if you start using bad language, foul language, or slangs or wrong gestures, that's going to be very bad communication. You will probably not be part of that organization again. Hmm. So then we also learn, right? ठीक है, Ujjwal. Control. Yes, Usmangani Patel, very good. Tazeen, good. Shruti, what is the lag about? Words which are not considered to be part of the formal language and they're mostly related and confined to personal texts and WhatsApps are known as slangs. Yes, is listening is very important, Shruti. That's a wonderful answer. Listening is very important for feedback because unless I listen, unless I have some ideas in me, how can I give you a feedback? मुझे पता ही नहीं आपने बोला क्या है. I don't even know how to react on that. मुझे नहीं समझ आ रहा है कि आपने मुझे कुछ instructions दी हैं कि how to make a burger. पर मुझे समझ ही नहीं आया. So if I'm not listening, then मुझे समझ नहीं आ रहा है. If I'm not understanding, I won't react the way I'm supposed to. The results will vary, then they'll put a bad mark on my performance. So patient listening is really, really important. Right mode of communication is you have to talk the way you have to communicate the way you think is the best for that particular scenario. Like आपको बात करनी है, लिखना है, speech देनी है, या किसी को text message से inform करना है, या you think I have to call a meeting for this topic because I have to have 10 members present. That is the right mode of communication. Okay. Next is do not interrupt while the other person speaks. Now, that's like also a very polite way of listening, and it's also good manners. When anybody is speaking to you, please let him or her complete. That's the most important aspect because the moment you start asking them, ki, let me interfere, let me cut you down. This happens more in news channel debates. You must have seen, where everybody's fighting with each other. There is complete chaos. It happens in parliament sessions at times where the opposition is fighting with the center. All these things keep happening, but it doesn't sound like very pleasant. So for that reason, let the other person complete his or her discussion. Once they are done with it, then you may please go ahead and ask. Okay? See, good knowledge hogi tabhi answer kar paoge, Aditya. That's very true. If I don't know something about what's happening in the East India politics, then how will I answer? If I don't know what's happening in Mizoram, I have no clue about Mizoram and its culture, and there is a discussion on Mizoram as a state, I will not be able to answer. So वो तो बहुत obvious है ना. Your knowledge only decides how confidently you can participate in a certain talk or a conversation. Yes, Anshika, it should be accessible. Focus is important. Yes, Astha, correct. Yes, yes, Meghna. Proper language is not using any bad language. ठीक है? Okay, now interruption हो गया. Deviate होता है to go off track. आपकी ट्रेन जा रही है मुंबई to Pune and suddenly you change track and from instead of going to Pune you start going to Aurangabad. That is wrong. Okay, the track of the path should be same. आप दिल्ली से start हुए हो, आपका destination हैदराबाद है, so please go to Hyderabad. Don't go to Warangal. That's what deviation is. You're listening to a song, you listen to the song, finish the song, then come back to studies. ऐसा नहीं होना चाहिए that you're doing a question on direct tax and suddenly you feel, chalo, let's see a TikTok or let's see a reel or let's check my Instagram account. No deviations. That is, of course, personal examples I'm giving you. Office में भी ऐसे ही होता है. If you have a board and you're trying to display, in a meeting, you're trying to address the audience by showing some facts and figures about a particular, maybe a sales report, maybe a quarterly or a monthly sales report. Don't start moving here and there. Here and there वाला जो होता है ना, वो distraction हो जाता है. Then you lose to have grip. You fail to have grip over your speech, and whatever you are delivering goes completely haywire. That should not happen. Okay. Yes, Harsh, very good. So you are not supposed to answer irrelevant questions. The audience might be forcing you to answer irrelevant questions. Don't pay heed, don't pay attention. Concentrate only on what you think is relevant and what you think is going to add to your knowledge. Okay? Okay? Fine. And the last thing I have for you is be open to criticism. So when you are open to criticism, it's more about feedback. Feedback होता है कि आपने कुछ start किया and आपने अपने friends से या सबसे पूछा, okay, now you tell me what is it? How is it? So this is about feedback. Let me just try and write with this because it's a little slow when I'm using this tool. ठीक है? So criticism means not always negative, not always positive. It has to be a critical analysis. So when somebody is doing a critical analysis, so it's more about, ठीक है, be open to it. इसका मतलब you don't always have to feel bad if somebody has said something not good about you. It's just a way of understanding कि क्या अच्छा है क्या नहीं अच्छा है, isn't it? अगर किसी को कोई चीज अच्छी नहीं लगी and you have asked them their opinion, then they are free to give their opinion. ऐसा तो नहीं that you'll start feeling bad कि क्यों ऐसा बोला, ये तो नहीं बोलना चाहिए था. वो सब नहीं होना चाहिए. Point 5 and 7. Okay. Do not interrupt while the others speaks and open to criticism. This is very different. इंटरप्शन होता है, कोई आपसे बात कर रहा है, कोई आपसे कुछ पूछ रहा है या क्लैरिफिकेशन मांग रहा है, आप उसको बीच में कट करके बात कर रहे हो या यू आर नॉट लिसनिंग टू हिम. क्रिटिसिज्म होता है once you are done with your explanation and your side of the story, let the others comment on it. Okay, not simply question but also comment. So if I'll give you a small example. Suppose you do some cooking, right? How many of you do cooking at home? Anybody who's a good cook? Tell me, anybody who's a good cook? Yes, Anshika, that's correct. Okay, Anshika, Janvi, Namrata, Riya, Pramod, Nitin, Ashutosh. Very good. Chef Janvi. Wow, that's a nice title. So when you cook something, suppose you've cooked a nice pasta dish, you've cooked a nice idli dosa, you've cooked a nice burger or a pizza, or you've cooked some nice dal, you've cooked some nice maybe some maybe fish curry, or you've cooked some nice sarso ka saag, all these varieties which are available in India and abroad, of course. So what happens is, this is the first time you've done it. Now you're going to take it to your family members. They might like it, they might not like it, they might just love it, they might just hate it. Anything is possible. So when you start getting those criticisms that, isme salt less hai, isme oil zyada hai, this could have been more better in terms of being less fried, all that you have to be open. If you do not listen, then unfortunately you won't be doing a good job the next time. So if you see serials like MasterChef and all, there is always some kind of criticism. So criticism might just be a valuable feedback. Okay, I'm just telling you that whatever you've cooked is good, but I think this is raw, the texture is not good, this is a little sweet, this becomes a little salty, I can see a lot of oil flowing. That if you are open to, you can't start fighting कि नहीं नहीं मैंने बहुत अच्छा बनाया है, प्लीज ये तो खाना ही पड़ेगा, मेरे से अच्छा कोई नहीं बनाता, ये तो बहुत अच्छा है, and then you start justifying कि नहीं मैंने इसलिए ऐसा बनाया इसलिए वैसा बनाया. That is not good. When you are open to criticism, तो आप किसी एक्सपर्ट से डिस्कस कर रहे हो तो एक्सपर्ट की बात को सुनो. Okay. And it also helps, like Astha has given a wonderful example, when you listen to criticism, your mind starts working in a very fresh way. A new logic comes to your mind. So next time aap aur acha karoge because you are not repeating on the mistakes of your past. ठीक है. अच्छा पूरन पोली बना लो. Rutuja says I am making पूरन पोली. ठीक है. Good Ritu, how was it? No, Aditya, questioning is not feedback. Questioning may only be for clarification. मुझे कुछ doubt है आपके discussion में and I want to ask you. ठीक है? So that can be just a analysis, just a clarification. ठीक है? Okay, Pramod, good to know. Okay, most of you are good cooks. Sadhana says some recipes. Okay, Pramod. Yes, of course, Namrata, criticism helps you become a better human being, of course, true. ठीक है. Now tell me any doubts for this slide. Effective communication आ गया. एक question directly आ सकता है. What is effective communication? Why do you think communication can be effective? How do you think communication can be effective? All the whys and whens and the hows have to be answered by means of this slide. ठीक है? Okay? अच्छा. Yes, Subhadeep, tell me what's your doubt. Do not deviate. That's your doubt. बता दो. I'm waiting for Subhadeep's doubt. ऐसा नहीं होता है तन्वी, इतना कॉम्प्लिकेटेड नहीं होता है कि आप सोच रहे हो गुड है, वो सोच रहा है बैड है, बट देन इट इज गुड, बट देन इट इज गोइंग टू स्क्रू यू अप. इतना डिटेल में जाने की जरूरत नहीं है. It's just about being very patient when somebody is telling you there is a problem in the way you have done something, specifically when it comes to office work and even otherwise. Just be sure कि आपको समझ आ रहा है क्या गलत है and you're working upon it. Okay? Okay, Shruti, good. Enjoy the sabji. Fine. Chalo, ठीक है. So I'll just clear this. हाँ, so Subhadeep, doubt बताओ. What is the doubt? You said you have a doubt. Do not deviate. हाँ, barriers करेंगे हर्ष. No doubts. ओके, अब डिविएट क्या होता है? टू गो ऑफ ट्रैक. जब आप अपनी लाइन से हट जाते हो एंड आप किसी और डायरेक्शन में चले जाते हो, दैट इज नोन एज डिविएशन. जैसे एंगल ऑफ डिविएशन होता है, ट्रिग्नोमेट्री में भी होता है, फिजिक्स में भी होता है. वेर यू हैव प्रिज्म्स, देन वी हैव दिस एंगल ऑफ रिफ्लेक्शन, एंगल ऑफ डिविएशन, सॉरी. अगर आपको थोड़ा मैथ्स एंड थोड़ा फिजिक्स याद है, वी ऑलवेज हैव दैट. Okay, let me see. There are some queries coming. I'm just waiting. Koi one or two queries which are important. I'll probably use them. सो डिविएशन हो गया अगर आप टॉपिक है आपका द सेल्स फिगर्स इन द लास्ट क्वार्टर एंड सडनली यू डिविएट एंड यू स्टार्ट टॉकिंग अबाउट the sales figures 5 years hence, or you start talking about the product shelf life, or you start talking about the taxes on the product, then you are deviating. जो आपका टॉपिक है आप उस पे बात करो, बाकी चीजों पे ध्यान मत दो, ठीक है? ओके प्रमोद, थैंक यू सो मच, दैट्स अ वंडरफुल कॉम्प्लीमेंट। ओके रितु, सो साइंस बैकग्राउंड से तो आपको पता होगा एंगल ऑफ डिविएशन क्या होता है, रिफ्रैक्शन में प्रिज्म के केस में करते हैं। हाँ, डिविएशन इज चेंज ऑफ टॉपिक्स बेसिकली। चेंज ऑफ टॉपिक्स का मतलब यू आर नॉट टॉकिंग अबाउट द मेन कंसर्निंग थिंग, यू आर टॉकिंग अबाउट एनीथिंग एंड एवरीथिंग, दैट इज डिविएशन। ठीक है, थैंक यू। यस रितु, आई कैन सी योर मैसेजेस। सॉरी प्रतिभा, आई कैन सी योर मैसेजेस। आईज ऑन इंटरैक्टिंग अभी तो बहुत रेलेवेंट हो गया ना, मतलब क्या क्या कंडीशन है आपकी? वेयर आर यू टॉकिंग दैट यू हैव टू फोकस ऑन द आईज, isn't it? If you think it's an audience and there are 500 people, then you can't focus on the eye. But if you think it's like a small setup where there are only 10 people in the audience, then you focus on the eye. Yes, debate तो है। भूमि, अभी तक तो आई हैव नॉट सीन एनी ऑफ योर मैसेज, अगर कुछ ऐसा है तो बता दो। आई हैव नॉट सीन। कम्युनिकेशन इज इफेक्टिव बिकॉज ऑफ ऑल दिस। अब आपके सामने है स्लाइड, नाउ यू टेल मी व्हाट इज द डाउट। महक, अभी तक वी वर डिस्कसिंग ऑल दिस ओनली, व्हाई कम्युनिकेशन इज इफेक्टिव, सो यू टेल मी व्हाई कम्युनिकेशन इज इफेक्टिव। क्रिटिसिज्म, क्रिटिसिज्म होता है जब आपको किसी भी चीज के लिए वापस एक फीडबैक मिल रहा है एंड दे आर ट्राइंग टू टेल यू द फॉल्ट्स। सो क्रिटिसिज्म बेसिकली थोड़ा नेगेटिव वर्ड होता है, बट इफ यू आर बीइंग टोल्ड द फॉल्ट्स देन वी कॉल इट क्रिटिसिज्म। I'll show you a better slide. This is more explanatory than this. देखो, 7 C's of effective communication. अगर ये समझ आ जाएगा तो barriers भी taken care of हो जाएंगे. Okay? Just give me a minute. I want to see how many of you can understand the slide yourself. So please go through the slide. Coherence का I'll tell you what is the meaning. हर एक word का meaning उसके right side में लिखा है dark green color में. It flows logically, it avoids covering too much. So yes, Asta, I'll shift to that. Before that, I have this to finish. Take 2 minutes, finish reading this, then you ask me, because slides are meant to be self-explanatory. If I'm explaining every word in it, तो थोड़ा सा प्रॉब्लम है। आप लोग अपने आप देखो क्या है। आई एम वेटिंग फॉर द क्वेश्चंस। कुछ भी डाउट आ रहा है, कुछ भी प्रॉब्लम आ रही है समझने में, किसी वर्ड में, किसी फ्रेज में, दैट ऑफ कोर्स यू आर फ्री टू आस्क। go through all these 7 C's. Why 7 C's? Because उसमें C से starting words ही 7 हैं। नरेंद्र सोनानी, reuse the right word to communication. ठीक है। Is it okay? All the 7 C's समझ आ गया? So very important. It can be a direct question on clear, concise, correct, concrete, coherent, complete, courteous. Question can be list down all the 7 C's. Question can be list down any of the 4 7 C's. Question can be list down the 7 C's but write on any one of them. ठीक है? Courteous. Courteous means to be polite. Om. Filler words, not filter words. भूमि, keep it clear and avoid filler words. Filler होता है कि extra words मत use करो जो कि sentence को और heavy कर देते हैं. Don't fill your messages. Be very very apt. जितना आप छोटा लिखोगे या बोलोगे, जितना आप to the point बात करोगे, उतना वो concise माना जाता है. Vague means which is not clear. जब clarity नहीं होती है, कोई चीज कुछ सेंस नहीं बना रही है, समझ नहीं आ रहा है, तो लाइक आई से आई हैव अ वेग आइडिया अबाउट लेट्स से द न्यूजीलैंड पॉलिटिक्स. वेग मतलब बहुत कम, लाइक ब्लर्ड, हल्का फुल्का. ओके ओम. टाइपोज मीन्स टाइपिंग एरर्स. Filler words, Shruti, I just now told you. Any other doubt? Hand gesture is important, Subhadeep, very important, but that is all part of non-verbal. Precise means very small. So when I'm speaking, if I'm telling you, this is good about the CA course, this is good about CA course, CA helps you get through this, CA helps you in that way. So in the end, I'll say precisely, if I want to say precisely, CA is one of the best courses Indian education offers. That's precisely usage. Concise, Subhadeep, concise का meaning देखो, keep it clear and to the point. So बात हमेशा to the point होनी चाहिए. It should have a sharp pencil lead. It always has to be to the point. इधर उधर की बातें नहीं करना, गोल गोल नहीं घुमाना, no ambiguity. Filler words होते हैं words that just try and fill in a sentence to make it appear long. Filler words नहीं use करने हैं because उससे आपका content और ज़्यादा complicated हो जाता है, which is not the good thing. Tactful is thoughtful, smart style में, सोच के, wisely. Avoid covering too much means don't try to cover all the aspects. अगर आपका topic एक छोटी सी बात है GST, then don't shift to the other taxes. अगर GST के बारे में बात कर रहे हो, then talk about GST only. Okay, a simple goods and sales tax. You don't have to talk about XYZ taxes which were imposed earlier and ABC taxes which are still in the pipeline. जितना पूछा है उतना समझाओ. Don't try to cover all topics. That is what I mean when I say avoid covering too much. अभी समझाया आदिश्री. Concrete means very very specific. जैसे concrete का material आप use करते हो ना building construction में, it's very solid and it's very hard. So your messages should be very solid. जितना deliver करना है उतना ही करो. फैक्ट यूज करो, डायग्राम यूज करो, स्टेटिस्टिक्स यूज करो, रिपोर्ट के फिगर्स यूज करो एंड मेक योर मैसेज स्ट्रॉन्ग कि ये मेरा व्यू पॉइंट है बिकॉज मेरे पास इतने वैलिड एग्जाम्पल्स हैं. लॉजिकली मीन्स लॉजिक को बिठाकर, ऐसा नहीं कि आप कुछ भी कभी भी बोलो. लॉजिक से अगर वो ट्रू अपीयर हो रहा है देन इट इज करेक्ट. Call to action is include a call to action means you have to tell the person whom you're talking with कि now start taking action on it. That is very important. अगर आप वो नहीं करोगे तो you have delivered your message and the other person is least interested, तो वो message की importance dilute हो जाती है. वो बात 5 दिन तक postpone रहती है, 10 दिन तक postpone रहती है. Nobody works on it. So if you want your message to contain everything and be complete like a circuit, आपने मुझे कुछ काम दिया, मैं इमीडिएटली आपको करके उसके बारे में रिवर्ट करूंगी, फिर आप मुझे उसके बारे में पूछोगे, फिर मैं आपको रिवर्ट करूंगी. इट्स लाइक अ सर्किट. इट्स लाइक मेकिंग इट कंप्लीट. जो कंप्लीटनेस ऑफ अ वर्क होता है ना, दैट्स व्हाट दिस मीन्स. ओके आदित्य, अभी समझाया श्रुति. कॉल टू एक्शन वही होता है. टाइपोज मीन्स टाइपिंग एरर्स. Concrete and correct. Concrete is more about being solid, more about using a lot of facts and figures to strengthen your argument. आप उसको और value add कर रहे हो. Correct means गलत language नहीं है, कोई wrong information नहीं है, spelling mistakes नहीं है, तो आपका आंसर correct है हर point of view से. ठीक है अंशिका? Courteous is being polite, Pratibha. Like अगर आपके घर में कोई आता है, so you don't start shouting at him, you don't behave rudely with him. गेस्ट के साथ आप पोलाइट बिहेव करते हो, सॉफ्ट हार्टेड होते हो, काइंड होते हो, यू यूज गुड लैंग्वेज, यू वेलकम द गेस्ट, यू मेक हिम और हर कंफर्टेबल, यू ऑफर देम सम फूड. दैट इज बीइंग पोलाइट. गुस्सा नहीं होना है, नो अग्रेशन. अग्रेशन इज वन ऑफ द बिगेस्ट एनिमी ऑफ कम्युनिकेशन. Okay, always be polite and patient. That's how you will be able to conquer the person whom you're talking to. अगर आपने गुस्सा दिखाया या आप irritate हो गए या you are becoming indifferent कि ठीक है कोई मुझे सुन ही नहीं रहा है, why should I speak? Those are all bad traits of a speaker, of a good communicator. Good communicator के लिए होना चाहिए that you are patient, give your audience some time. थोड़ा time लगता है for them to understand you, listen to you. Please be patient, and very importantly, give them also a chance to speak. That's how the feedback loop will start. Okay, anything else on this slide? Yes, Shubhadeep. So 7 C's of communication के बारे में और कुछ पूछना है, so please most welcome. नहीं पूछना है, so I can move on to the next slide. Sure, everybody? Okay, Harsh has understood. Ritu has understood. Okay. Yeah, Subhadeep, courtesy and courteous same hota hai. It's just derivative form of the words. Courteous is adjective, courtesy is noun. Okay, ठीक है. Thank you, Anshika, and thank you, Janvi. Thank you, Shruti, Shubhadeep, Astha, and Tarun, and Varnika. Okay, now we're going to the last part of it, which is barriers to effective communication. Till now we did what is effective communication, why can communication be effective, कैसे आप ensure कर सकते हो कि आप जो भी बोल रहे हो या लिख रहे हो वो अच्छे से समझ आ रहा है. Now this is about barriers. Up now what happens is maybe the person who has received the message has misunderstood. That becomes a barrier. Secondly, a barrier would also involve where there is lot of chain of network involved, so message gets distorted. Remember when we did chain of command wala chain network, you all were saying बहुत सारे लोग होते हैं तो message distort हो जाता है. Then I think somebody gave the example of Chinese whispers. By the time the message comes to the last person, कुछ और ही समझ आता है. जो start हुआ था वो नहीं होता है, कुछ और ही होता है. And last, इसमें barriers बहुत मुश्किल होते हैं overcome करने. ठीक है? So you have to be very sure that all the barriers which you face, because every situation, every office, every workplace, every individual faces different barriers. If you are a bad speaker, if you don't have confidence in speaking, then the first is conversational barriers. If you have never gone on a stage and you've never addressed people, then you have a stage fright, which is also a barrier. Or maybe if you're not very conversant with a certain language, then language barriers. Or maybe you don't like to go out of your city, you want to remain in the comfort zone of your own culture and your own community people. That's a cultural barrier. So there are different barriers, which of course we'll do in the next part of this slide. But what I am trying to say is overcoming barriers is very important. अगर आप overcome नहीं करते हो तो बहुत बार ऐसा होता है communication effective नहीं होती है. Okay? हाँ, wrong coding हो गया. Very good, हर्ष. हाँ, सेम थिंग. ट्रैफिक बैरियर्स. बैरियर का मतलब क्या होता है? एनीथिंग व्हिच इज एक्टिंग एज एन हर्डल. एज एन ऑब्स्टिकल, वो हिंड्रेंस है, वो रुकावट है। तो मेरे और आपके बीच में जो मैसेज कन्वे हो रहा है, अगर वो ठीक से नहीं हो रहा है, एक्सटर्नल नॉइज बहुत आ रही है, फैन बहुत जोर से चल रहा है या बाहर ट्रैफिक है, that becomes as a barrier which are known as external barriers. You speak in Tamil, I speak in Hindi, you speak in Telugu, I speak in Marathi, you speak in Kashmiri, I speak in Urdu. The problem is a language barrier. मुझे समझ नहीं आ रहा. You belong to Japan, I belong to India, so your body language and your gestures convey something which I don't understand. For us, it's namaste. Maybe for them, it's just bending the head. For me, what a handshake means might not mean the same for somebody from different communities and cultures. That becomes cultural barrier. So basically what I'm trying to say is there are a lot of things which act as a hindrance, जो कि obstacle बन जाती हैं for effective communication to happen, and you have to overcome them. Okay? Distortion means change कर देना, like उसका शेप चेंज कर दिया अगर, तो वो डिस्टॉर्ट हो गया, उसका मीनिंग चेंज हो गया तो वो डिस्टॉर्ट हो गया, उसका पूरा एसेंस चेंज हो गया तो वो डिस्टॉर्ट हो गया. ठीक है अनन्या? Yes, Aditya. Internet connection is also a barrier. Honestly, if you are in a Zoom meet or a Google meet, तो क्या होता है, इंटरनेट चला जाता है, so इंटरनेट ना होना is a barrier. Attitude barriers are not considered to be very formal, so you will never find this as a formal means or one of the barrier to effective communication. हाँ? उमर अंसारी, ये कहाँ से आया? हेल्थ इज इम्पोर्टेंट, healthy lifestyle. How did this come into picture? Okay, that's why I was surprised. Why are you writing about health and healthiness and exercise and daily fitness? You might be writing a blog, maybe कहीं और कुछ लिख रहे हो आप. Suddenly आपने देखा कि ये तो मैंने ग्रुप में डिस्कशंस में क्लास के कमेंट्स में डाल दिया है. हाँ, noise can be a barrier. Noise barrier is mostly considered to be an external barrier. Physiological barriers, psychological barriers, gender barriers. Very good, Arpi. Friction is roughness. Friction is not being smooth. अगर आपने साइंस पढ़ी है 10th तक तो आपको पता होगा. Friction means when two surfaces are joined together, the resistance which is between them, which is not allowing them to move, is friction. Friction generate ही तभी होती है जब lack of smoothness होता है. Ridicule means मजाक उड़ाना. हाँ, right. That becomes personal barriers, Namrata. Psychological barriers, yes, correct. Organizational barriers, very good answer, Astha. This is one of the most important thing we need to know. So I'll take you to this. This is my final list of the barriers where I've listed all the barriers. Emotional है, language है, physical है, cultural है, gender है, interpersonal है. ठीक है? Cultural barriers ऐसे हो गए. Can you see the picture? उसमें you can see people of different communities dressed up in different colors and different style of dresses, different hairstyles, different complexions. These are all cultural barriers. And how do they arise? Cultural barriers will arise agar language different hai. Some certain signs and symbols. What is a sign for some gesture in India would not be the sign for the same meaning gesture in China. Okay. Behavior and beliefs. Disgruntled is angry and unhappy. Age barriers भी होता है. Any way of coming over? Yes, of course you can overcome the barriers, Aditya. इतना मुश्किल नहीं होता है. Lack of confidence. Okay. So behavioral and beliefs barriers. So what is a behavior for me? What is a belief for me? Might be not a belief for you. So that becomes a cultural belief. जैसे आप किसी चीज में believe करते हो, your parents ask you to follow certain customs and traditions, but you fail to do that because you oppose them. You don't have belief in them. That becomes a cultural barrier. ठीक है? Premature evaluation, ये तो कुछ different concept होता है, हर्ष. Perception itself denotes the word barrier. So perception barrier नहीं बोलते हैं. Perception का मतलब ही होता है that everybody has a different perspective. So I'm seeing it from one side. एक painting है, मैं उसको एक side से देख रही हूँ तो मुझे sad face लग रहा है. The other person is seeing it from the right side, तो उसको face बहुत cunning लग रहा है. That's a perception barrier, okay? But we generally say it's a game of perceptions. Then we don't use the word barriers. ओवर थॉट इज अ बैरियर, यस आदित्य, वो पर्सनल बैरियर्स होते हैं. पर्सनल बैरियर्स बहुत हो सकते हैं. आपका लैक ऑफ कॉन्फिडेंस इन स्पीकिंग, स्टेज फ्राइट, लैक ऑफ अंडरस्टैंडिंग, टू मच ऑफ थॉट, टू मच ऑफ ओवर थिंकिंग, all that becomes personal barriers. हाँ, टेक्नोलॉजिकल बैरियर्स व्हेन आई एम नॉट अवेयर ऑफ अ सर्टेन टेक्नोलॉजी बट आई हैव टू वर्क ऑन दिस. अगर आप ईआरपी इम्प्लीमेंट कर रहे हो और आपको नहीं पता ईआरपी क्या होती है, that becomes a technological barrier. If somebody has asked you to make slides and you don't know how to use PPT tools, you don't know how to use Excels, you don't know how to use the other apps like Canva or something where you can make pictures and design pamphlets, then that becomes a technological barrier. Attitude barrier nahi hota hai. We don't consider that to be like that. Yes, Anshika, very good example. Mona Lisa's painting. Good job. Good answer. Overload is when you have a lot of work on your head. So you're overloaded with work. Choosy is you're being very selective. Like when you're eating food, you're very choosy. You don't like X cuisine, but you always want Y cuisine. Perception is the way you see things. आपको वो चीज कैसी लग रही है, that is perception. Workplace gossips is when you are not following a controlled way of discussion. You are letting out all thoughts. आप किसी के बारे में भी कुछ भी बोल रहे हो बिना किसी चेक के. That is workplace gossips. Semantics is more about the study of language and science, and it involves a lot of bookish information. Gender differences is, of course, the gender roles, the dynamics of the gender. ठीक है, Tarun, got it? Yes, Subhadeep, glasses half full is a perfect example of perception. Yes, there are psychological barriers. Very good, Shruti. Centralization of power can be a barrier. Yes, sometimes. Not always, but yes, sometimes. Good answer, Sarvesh. Stereotypes and prejudices means महक stereotypes होता है जो बहुत standard चीजें आप दिमाग में सोच के करते हैं. Like civics में आपने पढ़ा होगा, stereotypes have to be removed, that you know जेंडर रिलेटेड रोल्स नहीं होने चाहिए कि अगर फीमेल है तो वो यही काम करे, वो मेल है तो यही काम करे, मेल इस कम्युनिटी की है तो ये काम करना है, फीमेल उस कम्युनिटी के हैं तो वही काम करना है. दोज आर स्टीरियोटाइप्स. यू नो द माइंडसेट्स हैव बिकम रिजिड. आप उनके आगे बढ़ ही नहीं पा रहे हो. प्रेजुडिस होता है टू हैव सम काइंड ऑफ अ हेट्रेड. आपको कोई कम्युनिटी, कोई टाइप ऑफ पीपल, कोई प्रोफेशनल्स नहीं पसंद है. यू हैव दैट प्रेजुडिस इन योर माइंड कि नहीं, इनके साथ तो आई कैन नॉट वर्क. दैट बिकम्स अ प्रेजुडिस. So all these are cultural barriers. This is the main list. इसको एक बार आप देख सकते हो. This is all about the list of barriers. कोई भी एक बैरियर आपसे पूछा जा सकता है, उस पे शॉर्ट नोट लिखना है. अगर शॉर्ट नोट नहीं आता है तो you should at least know the list, and these are the most important ones. Okay, so this is my last slide, which is just a way of pepping you up. Choose your words. That's the first Scrabble game. Without thinking, without giving much thought, don't speak words. Okay. Second is like a funny, you know, it's like irony. The biggest communication is we do not listen to understand, we listen to reply. If somebody is talking to you, listen. Maybe you have to understand his logic and then reply. Don't hurry to reply. You know, उससे क्या होता है कि आपका काम खराब हो जाता है. You will never make a good harvest if you are in a hurry. Imagine the kind of patience and hard work a farmer puts. He sows the seeds and he waits till the next harvesting season. When will the crop come? If he's in a hurry, तो वो every 5 दिन में आके crop को cut कर सकता है ना. So patience is very important, which is the same with communication. Third is let's not type, let's talk. You know, do away with gadgets. Don't let gadgets control your life. You sit and talk to your friends, stand in front of the mirror, speak on topics, talk to your relatives, talk to your neighbors. Talking gives you a lot more good information than just texting and typing. And last, of course, is good communication skills are a key to success. If you are able to convince your client, if you're able to convince your boss, if you're able to talk very nicely to your team members, you are always in the good books. You will always have an upward graph in your career. But अगर उसका उल्टा होता है तो प्रॉब्लम हो जाती है. ठीक है. इंटरपर्सनल बैरियर्स इज दो लोगों के बीच में, लाइक आई एम नॉट अ वेरी गुड स्पीकर, तो मुझे किसी से भी बात करने में हेजिटेशन होगी. आई कैन नॉट गो एंड अप्रोच अ न्यू पर्सन, दैट बिकम्स इंटरपर्सनल बैरियर. ठीक है. आरपी. यस भारत, यू कैन डू दैट. ऑर्गेनाइजेशनल स्ट्रक्चर भी बैरियर होता है कि ऑर्गेनाइजेशन का स्ट्रक्चर ऐसा है कि सारा कंट्रोल एक ही के हाथ में है, जैसे व्हील एंड स्पोक में. तो सारा कंट्रोल जब एक ही के हाथ में है तो मुझे चांस ही नहीं मिल रहा है अपनी बात आगे बढ़ाने का. आई एम स्टिल इन द जूनियर मोस्ट पोजिशन एंड आई एम अनेबल टू रीच द हायर मोस्ट बिकॉज ही इज द वन हु इज सो बिजी. सो ऑर्गेनाइजेशन का स्ट्रक्चर क्या है उस हिसाब से भी बैरियर्स अराइज. यस रितु. Okay, Shruti, got it? So these are a couple of things, and the most important thing, seek first to understand, then to be understood. पहले आप बात को सुनो, listen to what the others are saying, then try to make the other person understand your point of view. So communication has to be two-sided and it has to be effective both sides. I only cannot be listening, you only cannot be talking, and vice versa. Equal talking and equal listening, sometimes more talking, depends on the scene. So if you're in a classroom and if your teacher is teaching, she or he knows the subject more than you do, so it's one-sided where you are only listening, she's only talking. But if there is a discussion, a healthy discussion or an extempore, then please listen to the point of view of the other people and then start your own points. इंट्रोवर्ट्स तो फिर एक क्वालिटी हो गई ना, दे आर नॉट एग्जाम्पल्स, इट्स अ पर्सनल क्वालिटी. Yes, a salesman needs to have the most, like, the best of conversational skills because you have to sell goods, and all that depends on how smart you are in manipulating the usage of the product, how good you can treat your customers, how much you can convince your customers कि यही product अच्छा है, यही brand का अच्छा है और यही price अच्छा है, आपको खरीदना ही पड़ेगा. That kind of a forcible skill and coming out so polite, जैसे कि मैंने तो आपको force ही नहीं किया, that is a good communicator. And like Astha has pointed out, these are skills which any good salesman should have. नहीं नम्रता, ये सारा फॉर्मल कम्युनिकेशन करा है. Okay, so thank you so much guys, thanks for being with me. It was a nice class. I got a lot of relevant question and answers today. Thanks for being active throughout the class. Please leave any queries if they have been unanswered. Please put the queries again. Please go back home and practice whatever questions are there in the book and the mock test papers also. Okay, thank you so much. See you soon with another enriching session of some other topic in the BCR paper. Thank you and good afternoon.